I have been wanting to make this video for over a year now. I'm Kristin, you're watching my channel Traveling with Kristin, and today we're talking about Europe reopening for US tourists. I've got the who, what, where, when, why, how, all that good stuff for you. And then at the end of this video, I'll give you a list of all of the countries in Europe that are open to Americans right now, just in case you don't want to wait. The big headline is that vaccinated US tourists should be able to visit the European Union and Schengen member states by sometime this summer. The president of the European Commission has said that all 27 member states will accept unconditionally all those who are vaccinated with vaccines approved by the EMA. So that's the European Medicines Agency. And right now it's Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson. Now there's not an exact date as to when this will happen. I have heard the date of June 9th mentioned. It really depends on what happens with these next waves and with the vaccination rates. The US could reach this 70% herd immunity number by sometime in June, and that should speed things up, but Europe is still in single-digit vaccination rates, so it could still be longer than expected. What will you need to get in? Word on the street is that officials in Brussels and the US have been working on ways to streamline this process to approve vaccinated travelers going over the pond. They're talking about using approved vaccine certificates. So I'm not sure if this will be just between the US and Europe or if it will include other countries as well. But the European Union has already started emitting what's called digital green certificates. And so if you want to look more into this, the initiative that they're talking about with the US is called the Green Pass. So it kind of sounds like a pandemic Schengen zone where if you have this green pass, you will be approved to travel between the US and the EU. One very important caveat is that individual countries will be able to make their own rules. So if they want to, they'll be able to have stricter requirements, including extra testing and quarantining. Although it seems really unlikely with how much countries have been struggling economically, I don't think we'll see Italy, France, Spain, Portugal, those types of countries adding even more testing requirements, but it is possible. Another note is that this is only for US citizens. There is no word yet on other country nationals from the rest of the world who will be allowed to travel to Europe in the summer, other than the countries that have already been on this list since last summer. And that list has dwindled. It was short to begin with, but now it only includes Australia, New Zealand, Rwanda, Singapore, South Korea, Thailand, and China, which has been subject to reciprocity for almost a year now. This is all really weird though, because last summer the US was one of the banned countries from traveling to Europe, and now it seems like US citizens might be some of the first tourists to be welcomed back. Either way, this is very promising and hopeful news, and people are here for it. The New York Times reported that one website, Hopper, had a 50% increase in airfare searches right after this announcement was made, specifically for Paris, Barcelona, Frankfurt, Athens, and Amsterdam. Seems like Munich isn't on that list because unfortunately Oktoberfest seems to be canceled again this year. Anyway, if you don't want to wait for these things to sort themselves out, where can you travel now as an American? Well, Greece has opened as of April 19th with a vaccination or a negative PCR test. Croatia is open with a negative test or vaccination and proof of paid accommodation. Montenegro is open with a negative test or a vaccine, although curfews are still in place there. Bosnia and Herzegovina is also open. Serbia is open with PCR tests and a mask requirement. Cyprus has reopened with a negative PCR test and filling out their Cyprus flight pass online. Georgia's open with proof of vaccine or in their Georgia Work Remotely program. Albania is open with no testing requirements whatsoever. Same for Armenia, Belarus, and North Macedonia with no entry requirements. And Ukraine is open with PCR testing, and also their local health insurance is mandatory. Iceland has reopened also to US citizens as long as it's been at least 14 days since your second COVID vaccine, or if you have proof that you have been infected with coronavirus previously. I'm assuming because you would have some immunity. Iceland is also open if you get their remote work visa, and I have a video on that on my channel that you can check out. Turkey is open to Americans subject to screening on arrival, but they just went into another lockdown in the past few days, so make sure to check before you travel anywhere. Moldova is open with a negative PCR test. Estonia has reopened to US citizens as well as other nationals with a negative COVID test, or the Estonia remote work visa, which I also have a video on. Ireland and the UK have technically been open, but Ireland currently has a 14-day quarantine and UK has a 10-day quarantine, and a lot of things are shut down. Apparently right now in Ireland, all the tourist attractions are shut down, but stay tuned for more updates as they should be announcing their summer reopening plans soon. Which country are you most excited to go back to? Europe has been my second home since 2013, and I'm really excited to go back to Amsterdam in the Netherlands, also to check out more places in Portugal, and to go back to Paris this summer for my friend Rolf Potts' Paris writing workshop, which is so much fun. But let's keep in mind that not everyone is happy about this. Locals in Europe are rightfully concerned with the external borders of the continent reopening before life has really gotten back to normal within Europe. But regardless of where you travel this summer, please stay safe and make sure to get travel insurance. I'll link to the company that I use in the comments below. And if you have any questions about Europe's reopening plan or any other countries' restrictions, opened or closed, let me know in the comments, and feel free to dive down the rabbit hole of my channel with more travel updates, travel videos, cost of living, and living abroad guides. See you soon. Really unnecessary.